Good morning, YouTube. This is Tired Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys are having a good start to your Saturday here. Of course, as I mentioned yesterday, slight risk for severe weather today and tomorrow. So I'll be trying to cover a little bit of both of that today. And then also I'm looking at, we'll also take a look at the tropics too. There's a few new developments. Might be ahead of everybody else on this for once. But before I get into the video here, of course, try to get this algorithm moving. Trying to get you guys to like, comment, subscribe, share, especially likes. Besides, if I remember saying a while back, if I got 10 likes on any particular video, that I would start doing tutorials on reading radars and a bunch of other really cool stuff for the channel. Excuse me. But also, I was also gonna do maybe even some historical events. But first things first, we gotta get this channel moving a little bit more. We've been doing pretty well for the channel size that we're at right now, but of course, obviously, we want more. And as we keep progressing, I'm gonna keep getting better at this too. I feel like I've been making a lot of ground over the last few months. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's get into it here. So, as I mentioned, slight risk of severe storms, pretty much from Maine all the way towards Texas and Mexico border. Then we have a very big marginal risk area to the Gulf Coast states, through pretty much all of Florida, even sneaking into areas like Southern Virginia. Carolinas are in play for this as well. There's a really weird little area right here where there's just nothing, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. Have this very interesting looking little mess of showers and storms around Florida. And we also will be watching this area around Missouri and Illinois over the next few hours, because I do think that activity is going to pick up, and then we will start to get more storms firing up around the central part of the slight risk. Now, the tornado threat is an interesting spot, a spot that you definitely would not expect during this time of year. Tornado threat has increased a little bit more in Maine, in northern Maine of all places too. How about that? That's wild. So you guys up here, I know you guys aren't used to any sort of tornadic activity, but definitely be on the lookout, because a spin up may be on its way later today. Rest of the areas in the green are in a 2% threat, and it's also moved a little bit further south too. Now we have Little Rock in play, and Evansville. Well, Evansville I think was still in play, but now we're having the addition of southeastern Missouri. Some Jackson, Tennessee is in there as well, and even Memphis too. You guys have a 2% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a given point. Not much has changed with the wind and hail threat at all. If anything, there is now a more southern area of there's a more increased wind threat around the southern area. I don't really remember seeing anything around this area for damaging winds. But now we have San Antonio, Austin, Waco, Dallas, Fort Worth. You guys are in there as well, and Little Rock. I could be getting this mixed up. I'll have to look at the other video just to make sure. But hey. But without further, let's take a look at Sunday real quick. Not much has changed with that. The severe weather threat is mainly based in the northeast. There is a small marginal risk area that has popped up since yesterday around the Gulf Coast states. That much has not changed. So without further ado, let's take a look at what the radar could look like today. For the most part, we went over the parameters, the main parameters, but now what I'm most interested in is just taking a look at what the radar could look like, and then maybe examining where the what the parameters are like around northern Maine. This is a really interesting scenario where these storms, where the tornado threat is a little bit more elevated. And quickly we can actually see why. We look here, look at where our low pressure is. It's just north of the border, but that little section is on the southeastern quadrant of it, which is, I've always said, if you're on that southeastern quadrant of this low pressure, you always have to be on the lookout because the shear always seems to increase here. We'll take a look at the low level jet as well, but that pretty much explains a lot. Excuse me. Got a lot in my throat. I got a lot of phlegm in my throat this morning. So here's our line of storms that's popped up here. It's pushing its way off to the east. Starts to dissolve a little bit here. And then here comes the rest of our, here comes another upper level low. Kind of meandering around the, Canada. Hanging around the border, but not going anywhere further south. Might pop off a few more storms. Probably a line of storms. Some of it looks a little bit supercellular, though. I'm not going to lie about that. Or semi-supercellular. But there's nothing to really go off of here based on the sounding models. There is some wind shear, but not very much. Cape's pretty limited, so it's going to be hard to say as to whether or not this does anything magnanimous. So as this low moves off further and further to the east, heading into the overnight hours, things kind of die out and things slow down, and then we're looking into Monday. We're watching some increasing rain threat around the southeast. So I'm mainly really invested into looking into Maine right now for today's threat. Maybe tomorrow's as well. But as of right now, there isn't really a whole lot to go off of here. Like I said, I've been interested in this area. I'm interested to see what it will do throughout the course of the early afternoon and into the evening hours. And then right around here and I do think that this area could potentially have an upgraded tornado threat, maybe up to 5%. We'll take a quick look at this sounding here. I think the tornado threat's still going to be relatively marginal. Nope. And I have nothing here. In fact, the audiograph looks all over the place. Of course, this model run is a little bit dated by about an hour. There have been at least one new HRRR model update since I got a hold of this thing. It's mainly because of the 48-hour name. The 48-hour HRRR just takes so long to update. Jeez. There is a little bit of a low-level jet here, though. So there is something there. It's around 35, 40, maybe even close to 50 knots. So, I mean, there is some potential there. We'll have to watch that real close. And then Sunday, it really starts to pick up into the early afternoon hours, but by the late evening, the threat's starting to die down. So long as that low pressure moves off to the east and north, and then by Monday, we're looking towards the central plains again for potential severe weather. Now, on to the next thing here. Right now there isn't a lot going on in the tropics, of course. Good news, but still keep seeing these crazy kind of bullish tropical runs here. Seems like something wanted to form there, but it's nothing impressive. It seems like whenever we get these little these little pieces of energy trying to pop up here in the Gulf, but they don't really ever materialize until, as we go later and later, right around the 30th. Oh, I actually missed that when I was looking at this previously, but we might have to watch towards the western part of Mexico here. Could be a little bit of something trying to form here. Not super impressive, but it has an interesting look to it. I don't think it really will materialize into much, because, I mean, it looks like it's going to interact with land, if anything, or just either hang off the Gulf, or hang just off to the west of Mexico here, not the Gulf. But now, then we see this this thing try to pop up and form into something. It's kind of odd. I kind of find that run odd as well. But then on the 3rd, June 3rd, that's when we get this look here. This is pretty interesting. But of course, look how far out we are again. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing as the last few runs I've shown on the channel. It's so far out to really give this so far out I can't give this any real credibility. And then, but it looks a little bit more realistic. It doesn't really look like this thing materializes at the moment. I wish there were more tools that I had to look at that I had access to right now. At the moment, I don't. But as of right now, there's nothing really pressing to worry about in the Gulf, in the Atlantic side. Maybe towards the western parts of Mexico, we might have to watch that a little bit more closely. But that's still pretty far out as well, and a whole lot can change with this. But this is pretty much all I have for you guys today. If things start to uptick on the severe weather threat, I may make another video later tonight. But until then, or until tomorrow, this has been Ty Metalhead Weatherman, and I will see you guys later.